Now we're going to do things totally different. We have a little song, a chorus. We're all going to join in it. And the chorus is, the ladies are going to sing one version and the men are going to sing the other. The men are going to sing the old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be. And the ladies are going to sing the old grey stallion, he ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be. Lead it up. Old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, the old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, many long years ago, many long years ago, many long years ago, the old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, the old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, many long years ago. Thank you. She used to be, ain't what she used to be, the old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, many long years ago. Many long years ago, many long years ago. The old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be, many years ago. Thank you. I'm going to get my union under him. This morning, I'm reflecting on the subject of aging, something that we're all doing. And as you saw earlier, Americans are living longer. According to the Department of Social Security, you saw the numbers up there, we're all getting older and we're all expected to live longer. You know, it's very interesting that Paul, in his letter to Philemon, Paul was in his early 50s, and he describes himself as an old man. And he was an old man because in the Roman Empire, forensic archaeologists tell us that people seldom got past their 30s. So Paul was an old man when he described himself that way. Indeed, a lot of us forget that Jesus, at the time he was crucified, was, by the standards of his day, an old man, because people didn't normally get past their late 30s. So there's bad news. Bad news. All get your tissues out. Aging begins at birth, and no matter what we do to try and retard the onset of aging, and many of us exercise every day, we use cosmetics, we might get cosmetic surgery, there isn't anything we can do in the end to stop the physical deterioration that takes off once we get into the aging process. I must say that there was a time when my wife and I skied from when the lifts opened to when the lifts closed. We don't anymore. If we get past lunchtime, it's a miracle. There was a time when we walked double-digit numbers in miles without any problem at all, and now we reckon we're doing pretty good if we do 3 or 4 in a hike. That is life. And the mental deterioration, the faculties deteriorate. I mean, you all know what it is to walk into a room to get something, and when you get to the room, you've forgotten what you went for. I mean, that is the fact of life. There's only one thing that can stop that process. Only one thing can stop the process of aging. Death, yes. But life for most of us is sweet. We don't want that. Life is sweet. We want to enjoy as much of it as we can, and so we should, and that's good. And aging is no respecter of persons. I mean, I was quite, saddened when recently Shirley Temple died, because when I remember all those Shirley Temple, the good ship lollipop and all that. I mean, it was wonderful. And the Tarzans, every time somebody I used to go and watch in the movies who played the part of Tarzan, remember, used to go, you remember that? Every time one of those dies, a piece of me died, because we used to watch those great feats, and here was Tarzan, but the Tarzans grow old and the Tarzans die. And presidents and prime ministers, same thing happens to them. Ronald Reagan. elected Prime Minister at 70, served 2 terms, did a brilliant job and played a part in ending the Cold War. Did a wonderful job, finished up with dementia. His great friend, Margaret Thatcher, the English Prime Minister at the time, the same thing happened to her. Aging is no respecter of persons, no respecter of celebrity, no respecter of position. So now that I have depressed you, I will say that old Father Time is the least indulgent parent that I know. Yes, but there's good news. Away with all the gloom and the doom. In Psalm 37 we read, I have been young and now have grown old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken. Here is a man reviewing his life experience. He's having a look at it. He isn't saying he's never been in need or needed help. He's saying that whatever situation he found himself in, his God was there for him. And the writer of the 23rd Psalm, he said the same thing. He likened himself to the most stupid of animals, a sheep. And he talked about, the Lord is my shepherd. He likened God to a shepherd, leading him through every situation. And he finished with that fantastic acclamation, or 2 fantastic acclamations come to mind. One, that even when he walked through the valley of the shadow of death, his God was with him and would be with him. And the other one, that goodness and mercy would follow him all the days of his life. This is people who are writing from their profound experience of the goodness of God being with them at every stage of his life. And Paul in Romans talks about the fact that nothing can separate him from the love of God. Nothing can separate a believer from the love of God. He's not saying that his life has been without hardship. I mean, you've only got to read what he says in the second letter to the Corinthians, I think 11th and 12th chapter, about the things that he's endured for God. And certainly his life was not easy, but he can say that he hadn't been spared hardship and suffering, but whatever he'd been in and whatever situation he was in, his God was there for him. Now, more positives. I've asked a few friends of mine, I said, okay, tell me, what is good about getting old? One lady known to some of us here, came up with a brilliant one. She said, well, one of the good things about being old is the joy you feel the mornings you wake up and nothing hurts. Isn't that good? I thought that was classic. I'd hoped she'd be here today to hear it, but anyway, she watched the recording. And there are other positives too. Being born at a time when we were born, when there are replacement organs available, when people can get joints renewed, when medical science can take somebody like me that was on the point of death, and somebody from this congregation arranged for me to have a few more years of life thanks to surgery in the Minneapolis Heart Institute. Now, we live in good times. There are some good things about aging. And travelling free on the buses down valley. I love it. I love it. Lousy day in Snowmass, can't ski. What do we do? Get on the bus, go down valley. I've got to tell you, people who've never done it, you see so much more from that bus than you ever see from your car. It's wonderful. And being old, you travel for free. Having accumulated in a lifetime so much experience, you can share it. Here are the words of another psalmist I'm reading now, asking God that even to old age and grey hair, see a bit of that round here, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation and your power to all who are to come. Isn't that what I'm doing right now? Proclaiming, although I look around and unfortunately I'm proclaiming to many of my own generation, but I'd like to proclaim to all new generations exactly that, the power of God to all who are to come. And I think as we get older, we develop tenacity, we develop spiritual muscle. because we've got to accept our physical limitations. And, you know, it's not all that bad. It's not all bad news. And we're able to spend more time with friends and family and in service. Do you know, I love going in the thrift shop at Aspen, not just because you might pick up a bargain. I love to see those ladies there doing their thing and interacting with one another and enjoying what they're doing. There's some ladies from this congregation who are involved with it. It's a beautiful thing to see them, the fellowship that they enjoy one with another. Yes, we're able to, as we get older, watch the world go by and see things we didn't normally see, enjoy doing things that we didn't used to enjoy. Take pleasure in simple things. You know, I get a lot of pleasure out of conversation. I love talking with people, and I'm sure you do too. And I watch the kids. We get in the bus and we're chattering away to anybody who wants to be chattering to. And what are they doing? You know, being old ain't so bad, is it? Yes. Time to improve our education too. Every day is a day in school. And we keep abreast of current affairs. Now, when we were working, Brenda and I used to get out of bed at exactly the right time to have breakfast and go to work. Now we get out of bed very much earlier, have a newspaper delivered to us about 5 o'clock. This is when we're home, not here. And we read it cover to cover before we have breakfast. And it's amazing. I mean, so there are good things about growing old too. And enjoy going in shops, not to buy things, but just to see what's new. And younger folk do tend to be considerate of we old folk, don't they? Now, I was crossing Mill Street in Aspen last October, and I just had a surgical procedure which left me walking like Charlie Chaplin. So I walked across Mill Street, right at the point opposite Clark Market, and whatever. So I'm walking across like this, very, very slowly, and there's the town drunk. And he's sitting on a bench seat there, and he's got his bottle wrapped up in a brown paper bag. And he looked across at me and he said, "Good on you, old timer, you can do it." Consideration from the young. Yes, isn't it wonderful when anybody here ever had anybody stand up and give them a seat on a bus? You have. Yeah, well, I've stood up and given people seats on a bus. One day, maybe it'll come back, bouncing back to me. Yes. And there's an opportunity to develop an even better relationship with your spouse. For those people who haven't worked with their wives. We worked with each other, so no problem. But it's wonderful for people who finally retire and have that time to develop the relationship with their wives. But first and foremost is this. You have the time to develop a better relationship with God. I must say that now I'm retired, I spend more time absorbing the things of God than ever I did before. More time reading, more time taking on board, topping up the reservoir of spiritual experience. And the time to reflect. The poet Robert Browning used these words. He said, "Grow old with me, for the best is yet to be, the last of life for which the first was made." What he's saying is, in effect, think about all those things you did in the beginning of your life, all those experiences, those friendships, those relationships, how wonderful they are when you get older and you can reflect on the first of life. And I think of another poet, William Wordsworth. He was in his 30s and he's walking along in Ullswater, Lake District, England, and he and his wife see this sea of wild daffodils and it captivates him. It really fills his soul with the beauty of this. And he later writes this: For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, that is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. What he's saying, and it's beautiful, is that all those memories, all those things that we have when we're older, that when there's nothing else for us to do but sit in a chair, we can recount those beautiful times in our lives, so that when in vacant or in pensive mood, our heart with pleasure fills, and we truly dance with the daffodils. Yes, so many memories, so many things that I can share. Ran out of time, but I say this. My wife's got a hobby. She makes DVDs of photographs, and she has done a series on our own lives. And we've been watching them whilst we've been in Snowmass. And again, recounting all these beautiful times, the first of life for which the last was made. And it's truly been a blessed time for us both. Life has been sweet, and it is sweet. God has been good for us. God will be good for us. For as he has been, he forever will be. And I'm going to leave you with the words of the psalmist. I have been young and now have grown old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken. And more, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And the last thing I'm going to invite you to do, if you come here with your wife or your significant other, take them by the hand and, in the words of Robert Browning, say, "Grow old with me, for the best is yet